We're on a fire trail about 70 k's north of Sydney. A lot of the plants you see along here are in the plant family Proteaceae. They grow on nutrient-poor sandstone soil. The family comprises 83 genera containing about 1,600 species. It grows elsewhere, notably South Africa. And as we move along, we'll have to just keep an eye out for the spiders. Enough with the spiders. So this inappropriately shaped out-of-focus thing is the fruiting body of a tree called the Xylomelum pyriforme. This plant has very similar leaves to the Telopea. They're both in the subfamily Grevillea. Here's an image of the flowers. Leaves display prominent venation and yellow midrib. Here's a closer look at some of the seed pods containing two winged seeds, kind of on the large side, kind of crazy looking. Further along, we have a member of the Fabaceae family. This I think is Petrophile formosa. We'll get back to this later in another episode, perhaps, of the leaves on these things. Growing right above is one of the Grevilleas that grows in this area. This is sericea. With crazy pink spidery flowers. And right next to this species is another of the Proteaceae, Petrophile pulchella. Inflorescences are odd-shaped white flowers, cone-shaped flowers, dominant species in the area. And a bit further along, this is the state emblem flower of New South Wales, Telopea speciosissima. From the Greek telepos, meaning seen from afar, which is very apt, seeing you can see them from half a mile away, maybe not that far. Red inflorescence, bracts underneath, very similar leaves and venation to the Xylomelum we saw earlier. Very long petioles, kind of strap-like. The abaxial surface has a bit more venation than the Xylomelum. Very prominent mid-vein. Bird pollinated, they produce lots of nectar. Here's the inflorescence again. I don't know why it's out in March, but anyway. Right next door we have Lambertia formosa. Another species in Proteaceae that produces lots of nectar, long bracts, 7 flowers. I think they're valvate tepals. Here's a close-up. Usually have these 7 tube-like flowers, long styles. Leaves have very sharp muck rows, so don't get stabbed. They produce horned, woody follicles, grow from a lignotuber, another very common species in the area. Move along a bit further and we come to one of the two Isopogon species that grow around here. This is anemonifolius. They grow these fantastic sun-like yellow flowers. Peculiar foliage. Here's the other species, which is anethifolius. Red stems. Okay, enough with the spiders already. Commonly known as orb-weaving spiders. Here's another strange member of the Proteaceae family, Conospermum longifolium. Easily spotted by the little Mickey Mouse gloved flowers. Here's a bit more of a close-up shot. Another shot of the foliage, 200 mils long. Looking a bit lower, we see the Lomatia silaifolia, known as the crinkle bush. Haven't actually seen this thing flower yet. Great leaves, similar to the Isopogon anemonifolius. Here's one of the 4 Persoonia species that grows in the area. This is Lanceolata. The genus Persoonia is named after a Dutch botanist, of course. Why the hell not, eh? A few more steps along and we run into Hakea. This one is Teretofolia. The terete leaves, very sharp, crazy fruit. Again with the 2 seeds. These are also called dagger Hakea. Some more Petrophile pulchella. This one's trying to flower perhaps. Oh, spiders. And here we have one of the Banksia species. This is ericifolia, probably the most prominent species in the area. Huge spiked flowers, inflorescences. You're looking at hundreds of flowers here on this spike. Visited by both birds and mammals because of the amount of nectar produced. species names comes from the foliage. Here's an example of a newer inflorescence. And close up of the foliage. Leaves are alternate, crowded and linear. A bit further along the track and we come across Grevillea speciosa, the red spider flower. Looks like it's been a bit caned by the weather. And one of my favourites, Grevillea buxifolia, craziest looking flower in the bush. Here's another species of Banksia. This is serrata, totally different leaves to the ericifolia. Much wider, serrated, hence the name. Prominent midvein. Gnarly bark. There's an underground lignotuber. It can grow from after fire. Close up of the leaves. Very serrated, sort of grow in whorls. Close up of the bark. There's a better shot of the bark. And some new growth. The family are thought to have diversified well before the breakup of Gondwana, making the family well over 90 million years old. This is what the spiked inflorescences of the serrata look like close up. We have things called pollen presenters, which are the styles. Hard to tell apart from another species called Emula. Here's another close-up of the Petrophile pulchella inflorescences, without flowers obviously, and another Persoonia. This is pinifolia. One of the 4 Persoonias that grows in this area. Look at those banana flowers. Quite mental. Bright yellow valvate tepals. Pine needle-like leaves. Another shot of the ericifolia. In amongst the ferns. And some more Grevillea speciosa. So all these plants are in the family Proteaceae. Leaves have recurved margins. Terminal inflorescences. But are they stinky? Not at all. Here's a close-up of the flowers go renegade and produce these long pollen presenters. Looks like something out of the Dr. Seuss art collection. Ants wandering about. Here's a close-up of the Grevillea sericea flowers. Leaves are elliptic to oblanceolate with mucrose. Margins recurved. Not more fucking spiders. Now before you go home today, make sure you go and pull out a weed or two.